Crystia!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. I want to talk a little bit more about immigration. We've talked about it last week here on the channel. We've talked about it on our live streams, which, by the way, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel and joined us for our live streams every Friday night here on the channel for Friday Night Fringe, it happens here every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, where we talk about things like this. And we also go over a little bit of what's happened in the world of politics, as well as some back and forth with the community and chatting within our community. But today I want to talk a little bit more about the issues that we're having in immigration. Now, we're seeing a mass protest happening out in Prince Edward Island. Now, if you haven't heard about this protest, essentially it's temporary migrant workers that were once students that are being told that their work permits are not going to be any further extended, that the time has come for them to go home. Now, I've given my opinions on this matter many times, to which I say, if we don't have jobs, if we don't have the economy to support these things, if we don't have the homes for people to live in, it's time to pack your bags and go home. It has nothing to do with somebody's skin color. It has nothing to do with their religious beliefs. It has nothing to do with anything more than basic economics and balancing of budgets. I know Justin Trudeau doesn't like to concern himself with monetary policy, as he once quoted. However, when you have to think about how the economy is ever going to get back to normal, we cannot do it while continuing this massive influx of migrants, whether they're coming over the borders illegally, whether they're coming as students, whether they're coming from all parts of the world. If they're not contributing to society, if there's no jobs for them, let alone any jobs for current Canadians, then the time has come. We have to make the tough calls. And of course, they don't understand these things. Now, we've talked a lot about the manipulation that is hitting Canadian politics, the whole diversity, equity, inclusion, that people want to bend the rules. And we're going to get a little bit into that later on in the video to support that argument. But what we're seeing here are students who are essentially brought over to Canada, given a temporary work visa, as well as their student paperwork to say that they can come here and learn, but they're given a time limit when those things come out. And then what you're going to see in this video, which, by the way, I'll have a link to down below. You should watch the entire report. It's a fantastic video that Rebel News has put together in terms of the effect of this protest and what it means for Canada moving forward. Again, talking about the migrant workers and PEI. The problem here is that one thing we've discussed before is that they often, and we've seen it anytime there's race involved, the race card gets played. People are told, well, you're racist if you deport these people. It's this matter of you not wanting them to have rights or civil liberties. Well, of course not, because they're not Canadian citizens. The only way you get rights in Canada is by being a Canadian citizen. That's not to say we treat our migrants like garbage, but again, I'm going to get past the nitty gritty of it, my personal opinions, and simply tout what I said at the beginning of this video. If there's no jobs, if there's no growth in GDP, we have no reason for you to be here. If I migrated to the United States on a TN work visa for 3 years, I might be told the same thing after less than 3 years that, hey, there's no more jobs, the economy sucks, it's time to go home. Let's take a look at what Rebel is talking about in PEI, because I got a few points I want to cover here.
The reason I'm here is because immigrant workers have taken to the streets to protest the expiry of their work permits. Recent change in the government's work permit policy has sparked protests over the past week. According to the Office of Immigration, the province is prioritizing skilled workers in high-demand sectors such as trades and healthcare.
So you'll see here what's being highlighted, that the PE Office of Immigration is currently selecting and prioritized skilled workers in higher demand sectors such as healthcare, trades, childcare, and other key industries facing labor shortages. Again, there's no work for these people. Individuals working in the sales and service sector may not receive an invitation to apply at this time. So they're only wanting workers in the fields where there's actual work. Again, makes sense, doesn't it? I don't want to talk about where people are coming from on this, or why I feel that there's takeovers or invasion, because we've already made our points on that argument. But this is a point where, again, a lot of people who turn around and say, well, you're being racist. No, this is basic economics. We're willing to take workers if you have the skills that are necessary. If you're in a basic industry, we're giving those jobs to Canadians.
Individuals working in sales and the service sector may not receive invitations to apply for work permits. The people that have been protesting here are on postgraduate work permits, meaning that they once studied here in Canada and then were permitted to work here for a certain period of time on work permits.
Now, before they get into the student or the protester point of views here, I want to point out that, again, they're going to argue a lot of things that are hypocritical. They make it sound like they weren't informed that this was a possibility. They made it sound like everything was cemented in stone. Look, anytime you apply to go to another country, they lay out the rules before you get there. In fact, usually you have to sit with an immigration lawyer. You have to talk about what you can and cannot do, what your restrictions are, and the possibilities of them revoking that status at any time. Of course, the victim cards are coming out because this is Trudeau's Canada after all. We'll get into what they have to say, and then I'm going to follow up.
Now, we spent the day talking with locals, talking with the protesters, and just getting a better understanding of what the demands are of the protesters and how the locals feel about the immigrants working here in PEI. Is it helping the economy? Is it putting a burden on the economy? Do the locals care? Do they not care? Well, we spoke with them, we spoke with the protesters, and let me show you exactly what they had to say. If you would like to support my independent journalism, head on over to migrantreports.com.
I would highly, again, request that people head over to this website, check out migrantreports.com. Again, I'm going to have a link to this entire video down in the description. It's a longer video, so again, we can't showcase the whole thing here. And not only that, but I want them to get the views for the hard work. So head over, check out the video. Here's the problem from the workers. Here's what we're seeing coming from the workers' side.
We were here long before rules were implemented, and the reason we are here is because we demand that we need to be grandfathered, as we were unaware that this would have happened. This is the reason why the protest is here.
What would you say to people that claim you guys are just here on a temporary work visa, you don't have the right to stay? What would you say to those people?
So I would say to those people, why were we deducted the CPP, the Canada pension plan, at the very first paycheck? Why are we deducted the CPP on every paycheck after the first paycheck?
So again, he goes on here to say we're not going to get that after 60 years of age. So I'm going to point that out again while the victim card is being played, because again, these things, as the first person said that was being interviewed, oh, we were unaware of these changes. We were unaware of the rules when we came to Canada. They suddenly changed them on us. No, they did not. In fact, when you look at this guide for immigrant conditions and working in Canada, one of the subsections here, pay deductions. Your pay stub must show all money deducted from your wages. By law, employers must take certain deductions from your pay. Your pay stub will show an amount of gross income, which is what your total paycheck was before deductions were subtracted, and an amount of net income, which is how much you receive on your paycheck once the deductions are subtracted. Standard deductions, income tax, provincial, and federal government taxes based on your income. Canada Pension Plan, a monthly benefit or pension that retired workers, typically over the age of 55, receive if they've contributed to this fund during the years they worked, meaning this is a mandatory pay-in. Employment insurance is mandatory. Contributions for temporary financial help should you may be able to get if you lose your job or your contract ends. According to Canada law, all workers must contribute to the Canada Pension Plan and employment insurance, even if they do not use these programs. Again, highlight it out in documentation before you come into the country, before you get your jobs. This is no surprise. Again, the victim card is being flown out here that, hey, because I came from another country, because I'm a poor migrant worker, I was just taken advantage of. I didn't understand the rules. I hate to burst your bubble. The rules here are as clear as day. Not only that, but one thing I'll add to that is while you're living here, while you're staying in our country and working, you're probably using our doctors. You're probably using our Medicare system, which of course is paid by taxpayers. You're living on our streets that are paid for by taxpayers, that using programs and essentially going to school in places where Canadian students could have taken those slots. Again, paying into a program that's legally obligated, I don't see an issue with it.
That we are going to get after 60 years of age.
Education, we spend a lot of money to rent as well, so we have the right to stay here.
That is one that I really wanted to get on. Education. We spend a lot of money to rent as well, so we have the right to stay here. No, you don't. No, you don't. Rent is high for everybody. Nobody in Canada, can somebody please tell me any time in Canada we've said, oh, you're an immigrant? Oh, that means it's cheap. That means we're just going to discount everything because we want you to have an easy ride while you come to our country. Please, we cannot charge you full value of where you're living or where you're staying. Education is discounted for you. I showed a video clip of this on one of our previous videos about how a student was saying it's not fair that they're paying extra to come here and take school and that it should be reduced. And again, you're using our healthcare system, you're using our benefits, you're using our programs. A lot of these people, again, we've showcased videos, are stealing from our food banks, and they don't need the assistance. They're dressed pretty nicely. They've got nice sunglasses. I mean, they say, well, oh, we spent a lot of money on rent, so we have the right to stay here. You're a visitor in the country. You've been given a temporary work visa. Again, I'm using the United States as an example. If I move to the United States and I get a temporary sponsorship in order to stay there and work, should the government decide that it's time for me to go, I have zero rights. I'm not allowed to stand there and say, oh, I have the right to stay here. I bought a house when I moved here for my 3 years. I deserve to continue paying for that mortgage. No. You signed up and agreed to these terms when you came to the country. These are the terms. Legal. Give me a break.
Everyone is working, everyone is paying tax, so everyone has equal and fair rights to show in this country.
We are not trying to oppose the government, we are just trying them to do the fair thing.
If you think it's temporary, then you tell me one thing. So after 6 months, you guys just use us, right? We work for 6 months, then you said, okay, we cannot give you the PR, you need to go out. So it's like,
yeah. We're not using anybody. That's exactly what we're doing. You're working for 6 months. We're saying there's no jobs. It's time to go home. There's nothing using people about that. Again, I get so sick and tired. I know I'm cutting into the video a lot, but I want to make sure these points get out there because anytime you do these videos, people like to say, you're a racist. No. These are the racists. These are the guys playing the victim cards because they want you to bow down and bend over backwards because their skin is a different color, because they came from halfway across the world, because they show that they supposedly come from a poorly run country that Canada just gave them so many more benefits, and we're just slamming the door in their face, that we're denying them the right to stay here. If there's no jobs, if there's no economy to support you staying here, this is the way it goes. This other statement saying we're not trying to oppose the government. We're just trying to get them to do the fair thing. They are doing the fair thing. They're looking out for Canadian citizens. Canadian citizens can't find jobs. They can't get employment right now. We are doing the fair thing. We're asking you to pack your bags and go home. If you're educated, surely you can get a job back where you came from, can't you? Now, anybody saying I'm being rough here, or that I'm not being sympathetic to that of migrant workers. I come from a family where my father migrated to Canada. My father came here in the 1970s from Scotland. He became a Canadian citizen. He migrated here. He married my mother. He went through all the steps to become a Canadian citizen. He gave up his British passport to become a Canadian citizen, and he did it the right way. I'm going to show you somebody who talks a little bit, who knows firsthand what was going on and how these systems get manipulated on this video footage over from Brampton, Ontario. And if you know anything about Brampton, you'll understand what I'm getting at. Here we go.
I came to Canada as a foreign student from India many years ago, back when this country was a much different and nicer place. I'm here to speak out against what is happening.
As requested, we have hidden the identity of the man interviewed in this section of the report. This is not the first time he has spoken out, and he feels it is necessary to bring awareness to this situation.
So what exactly is the purpose of so many people coming to Canada on these student visas? It is best explained here with this immigration flyer. It says that you come here as a student. Once you establish yourself here, you bring your entire family over and then get use of all the social services that Canada offers. They see the loopholes that our incompetent government has created, and they have abused it full throttle. But just last month, the teachers at Conestoga College were complaining that these kids are actually illiterate. They can't read, write, they don't know basic arithmetic. The loopholes here are many, such as attending a shady college and not even attending. There's a couple of colleges that the Globe and Mail investigated, and they didn't even have classrooms in them, but they had places to process your immigration file. Some of these colleges are even owned by immigration consultants. While most of us are suffering in this really poor economy, there's a section of the society which is becoming rich off of these loopholes. It's not even about permanent residency. Canada's reputation for being such a soft country has gone global, and everybody knows that the minute you step foot in Canada, the odds of you being sent home are almost zero. So forget about permanent residency. The idea is just to get into Canada, and if you have children here, they become Canadian citizens. PEI was chosen, just like the prairie provinces, came up with very short-sighted policies that allow people to work at restaurants or hotels and things like that. And they could just work there for 6 months and then qualify for permanent residence after they get their PR. Most of them will come back here because this is where they thrive, in this corrupt Gotham City. We are just seeing the fruits of many years of bad policy.
We've attracted newcomers who bring important skills and the know-how.
I can't even listen to this clown. I can't, by this clown, I mean Justin Trudeau. But you're seeing here firsthand how a migrated citizen from India is backing up the claims that India is coming here to destroy this country. This is where our politicians need to look at this footage. This is where our politicians need to speak up. The ones that want to make change need to start addressing this and saying, look, this has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with your religious beliefs. It has nothing to do with good, bad, ugly, or anything more than economics and our ability to bring you in and our soft laws, as it's stated there. Canada is the laughing stock of the world when it comes to immigration. Name me one other country in the world where you can go there for 6 months and gain permanent residency merely by stepping foot on the ground within that country. Now, this man has pointed out all the programs that are abused in order to get all the services from Canada. And again, statistically, what I have found is that roughly 85% of the migrants that are currently coming to Canada since 2021 depend on our welfare and social systems in order to keep their lives intact. Now, my question for you, the hardworking Canadian, is why are we paying taxes and contributing into a system that wants to support others from other countries to come here and sit on their ass and do nothing? People are pissed, and they have a right to be. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them who sits there and says, you know, anytime you order delivery, it's an East Indian driver. Anytime you go to a drive-through, it's East Indian. Anytime you go to a retail outlet, my own family members in other cities were telling me that an East Indian manager gets in, and guess what? They only hire East Indian employees. They don't hire white employees anymore. They're taking everyone's jobs. And it goes right back to that South Park episode where they're running around saying they took our jobs. That's exactly what's happening in Canada. And if you think that it's going to take some form of another manufactured compound to cause another lockdown issue or another pandemic, well, the next pandemic is already upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and it's labeled immigration. And we need to get this nipped in the bud. We have to make sure that our leaders, our politicians, our MPs, our representatives know that we're fed up, that we're not going to take any more of this, and that we need results and change if this country is ever going to get back on its feet, if people are ever going to have the likelihood of going to work, paying their bills, and coming home with a little bit left in their pockets at the end of the day, and to even have those jobs available to them should they want to work. But this is all part of the plan, ladies and gentlemen. This is all part of the government plan of you'll own nothing and be happy. Depend on the government. The government will look after you. You just have to do everything we say. One of the bigger problems here that I haven't even mentioned that completely slipped my mind that we have to worry about is our own security. How many people are at risk with no vetting going on or no high-end security checks going on? Again, compare ourselves to the United States. in terms of immigration practices and what is required in order to live, work, and contribute into that economy, it's virtually impossible these days to get into unless you have some kind of seventh connection to multi-generations of residents. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is this getting out of control? Do you agree with the protesters in PEI? If so, why? If not, why do you think they need to leave? Are you on the same boat as me with the job affiliation or the job availability for people? Let me know your comments down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on your bell for notifications. Again, join us live on the channel every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, where we definitely go over things like this and then a little bit more in politics. Also, go and check out this video from Rebel News. Again, there will be a link down below in the description. I know Justin Trudeau's in it. I know people don't like hearing his nasty, disgusting voice. However, it's definitely worth the watch. Anybody who wants to argue immigration after watching this video needs to get facts. And all the facts are in this video, ladies and gentlemen. I can't recommend it enough. On that note, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoyed this video. I'll catch you on the next one.